Two San Diego brothers are working to restore an extremely rare farm truck built by their great-grandfather. The 1926 Gotfredson flatbed sat in an Illinois garage for 3 decades before the brothers found it. They towed it out to the Campo Motor Transport Museum to see if they could get it started.
This is the garage where the Gotfredson truck has been stored for the past 30 years.
Our great-grandfather's name was Benjamin Gotfredson. He built horse carriages, buggies, and eventually started building vehicles.
It's in pretty good shape.
He was one of those pioneers, and the approach that he took was to get the best parts he could and build the best trucks that he could.
37,397 miles.
It's a 1926 vehicle. It's been sitting for 30 years in a garage in Illinois.
The truck's been in the family a long time, so it's going to a new family. And I hope you guys can really enjoy it and restore it.
We picked up the truck, we took a little road trip, drove through the cornfields in Indiana, ended up spending time with Bob McCreary in Ypsilanti.
I think it looks great. You got a little work to do, but it's not bad.
He is probably the leading expert in the country on Gotfredson trucks.
Marvel Mistral Oil.
What's the purpose of that?
Well,
cures anything that ails you.
Yeah, anything that ails you. If you're sick.
By the time I left his farm, I knew the wiring and everything that needed to be done to this truck.
Turns over.
We wanted to store it up here in Campo because the truck museum is up here and they know everything about trucks.
Ready?
Yep.
Carl Calvert runs the truck museum out here in Campo.
Number one is where the window is.
He starts looking at the magneto, he starts playing around with the carburetor, and when it started, it was like the biggest thrill.
It's purring like a kitten. It's running great.
I think the whole idea here is to bring something back to life, something that we can do together and enjoy together for the rest of our lives.
It feels like a tank. That's first, that's second.
And then eventually hand it down to the next generation for them to enjoy.
That's awesome. I'm so glad they shared that with us. David Gotfredson is a producer for CBS News 8. He and his brother Paul grew up in the Detroit area where the truck was made, and they moved to San Diego with their family as teenagers. A legal battle is brewing over vacation rentals in San Diego, and Mission Beach is right in the center of it.
One of our news producers used to call Mission Beach home, so we sent him out with a camera incognito to get the real story as News 8's unknown reporter.
Take a drive through Mission Beach and you'll notice the courts are laid out alphabetically. Isthmus Court begins with an I and it's pretty much in the middle of Mission Beach. I lived in an apartment along here in the 1980s. Here I am back in the day in the apartment on Isthmus Court. There's my roommate getting a haircut right in the front door. We were long-term renters, $500 a month. In fact, the apartment is still here. So let's see if anything's home. Hey, how's it going? Sorry to bother you. I work at Channel 8 News. I'm doing a story on vacation rentals and long-term rentals down here in San Diego. You know, I used to live in this apartment in the 1980s. It turns out Barry Sheemer is a pretty friendly guy, considering an unknown reporter came knocking at his door.
We come here for actually 3 things: the ocean, the bay, and the weather.
Barry's from Arizona, and yes, he and his wife are renting my old apartment for 1 week as a short-term vacation rental. And if you couldn't, if it was banned, short-term renters, what would you do?
Well, I think it would be, obviously it would hurt the people that own these buildings, these residents, but I also think it would be a great disappointment to Arizonians because this is a great option for us.
People who own million-dollar homes and apartment complexes in Mission Beach can make a lot more money renting to tourists who will pay $2,000 or $3,000 a week just to stay near the ocean on vacation. Do you live here or are you vacationing?
We're just renting. We live in Alpine, actually, so we didn't have to come very far. And then our grandkids are down here with us for a few days.
But you can still find some long-term renters in Mission Beach. Anyone home? I work at Channel 8.
Hi, Channel 8.
How's it going?
I'm really hungover. How are you?
Good. People like Stephanie Maddock, a hotel worker living in a more affordable apartment. Okay, well, we're doing a story on short-term rental.
I hate them! You were talking to the right person!
Why do you hate short-term rental?
Honestly, because they park in my parking spot, they come to Mission Beach, they litter all over the beaches, they don't belong here, they are making our rent way more expensive.
The vacation rental debate was back in front of the city council this week with an overflow crowd of speakers. In the end, council members voted to put extreme restrictions in place on vacation rentals citywide, including Mission Beach. Even Kevin from St. Louis, walking on the boardwalk with his family,
We're going to Belmont Park right now.
doubts the issue will be resolved anytime soon.
If the conflict continues, it's just going to result in more litigation, obviously, because there's too many people fighting over those dollars.
I'm the unknown reporter, CBS News 8.
The new vacation rental restrictions are set to go into effect next August, but lawsuits are expected, and California's Coastal Commission will take up the matter later this year.
Who was that guy?
Who was that guy?
The unknown reporter.
My symptoms began with a sore throat and a dry, scratchy cough. Then I got a headache, but with no fever. I thought I just had a cold, but of course the coronavirus was always in the back of my mind. This illness seems unique because I never had any nasal congestion. Just that dry cough. Because I have an underlying condition, I'm a type 1 insulin-dependent diabetic. I called the Scripps Health nurse line on Saturday morning.
You have reached the Scripps Health coronavirus nurse line.
I was on hold for an hour and 20 minutes. The nurse asked a few questions and approved a drive-through test for me. I arrived at the Scripps Clinic in Torrey Pines at 11:20 a.m. You call a telephone number to check in, but stay inside your car. They were screening walk-up patients too, and again, those people were told to wait inside their car. So I've been here for 1 hour, and I may have another hour to wait. But I'm going to try and videotape my own test and see if they'll allow me to do that. After 2 hours, it was my turn. I'm greeted by a nurse practitioner.
So your name is?
David Gotfredson.
Perfect. I saw you on the schedule.
I tell her my symptoms. I have a dry, scratchy cough. And she knows I work for News 8. The workers wear face masks, protective clothing, and they keep their distance, except for the one nurse who administers the test.
I'm going to start off with a temporal temperature. These are scrubbed down and cleaned between each patient. I'm also going to get your oxygen level and your heart rate, okay?
Okay. My temperature comes in at 99.5, considered a low-grade fever. Up next, the swabbing.
All right, sir. It is a nasal swab. I'm going to do both sides for better accuracy, okay?
The test is a bit uncomfortable. It makes me cough and my eyes water, but it's worth it to know whether or not I have COVID-19.
I know it's uncomfortable, okay.
It will take 2 to 4 days for my test results to come back from the lab.
Okay. What we're recommending everybody is anybody who is getting tested, if you're worried about it, then you should self-quarantine.
I've been doing that, yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
David Gotfredson, News 8. When walking the dogs with my wife, technically, I don't have to wear a mask. But you should have one ready just in case somebody walks by. News 8 has received a lot of emails about people wearing masks below their noses. So it's kind of uncomfortable to keep your mask around your neck with these loops around your ears. So I think people just wear the mask like this out of convenience. And then when somebody walks by, they can pull it up like this. Kind of hard to do when you're walking a dog. News 8 viewer Kelly H. emailed us asking about those N95 respirators with valves. These N95 masks do a good job of protecting me, but these valves here allow unfiltered air to come out. And if I have the virus and don't know it, I can be infecting other people through this valve. It is important for everybody to wear masks. A new mathematical study out of UC Berkeley suggests if 80% of Americans wore masks, COVID-19 infections would plummet. But we should also remember that some people are unable to wear masks for medical reasons.
It blocks my lower peripheral vision so that I can't see my feet, and I become a trip and fall hazard.
Oceanside resident Chris Scheidler is one of several News 8 viewers who emailed us saying they have medical exemptions from wearing masks in stores.
He said, "Hey, aren't you supposed to be wearing a mask?" And I said, "Well, I have a medical exemption. I have really bad knees and legs."
Customers can sometimes be rude.
And then he just looked at me very sarcastically and said, "Well, aren't you special?"
It's an act of vandalism that's preventing people from accessing the beaches, so we take that very seriously.
Wanted, alive or alive, the Red Curb Bandit, aka the Parking Pirate. That's the alert from San Diego's Surfrider Foundation.
We're not encouraging any vigilante action, but we did put letters in people's mailbox on the street.
The street is Camino del Colado in La Jolla. Images on Google Maps from earlier this year clearly show that parking is legal on the north side of the street, and the curbs are not painted. But last month, somebody illegally painted the curbs with red paint, and to top it off, it's a pretty lousy paint job.
I don't think it's fair at all because I'm trying to go surfing with my friends and family, but I can't because there's no parking anywhere.
It only seems logical that some nearby homeowner is to blame.
You know, I feel like these kooks are just out here with these big houses, think they can do whatever they want, painting the curbs, but it's not fair to the locals out here just trying to get you a good time surfing.
Hi there. Some people on the street declined to be interviewed, but the woman who's lived in this house since 1961 was more media friendly. Who do you think's doing it?
I don't know. If I could stay up late enough, I'd probably stay up all night and sit out here and watch.
It's probably safe to say Virginia Weingartner is not the Red Curb Bandit.
If you find out who's doing it, let me know.
Okay. As for the surfers,
if it's illegally painted, it means that it's legal to park. Yeah.
The term parking pirate takes on a whole new meaning.
Never. I think I'm going to park there.
Good luck.
I think I'm going to park.
Surf's up. Cowabunga, baby. Now here's a message for the Red Curb Bandit. Dude, you can get charged with misdemeanor vandalism for painting curbs red. Not to mention some really bad karma. Barbara Lee?
It's a good message on both levels, David. I understand the San Diego Surfrider Foundation is involved in this now, too. How did they get involved?
A surfer who normally parks on that street noticed suddenly all the curbs were painted red. He called the Surfrider Foundation. The Surfrider Foundation called the city, and now the city has to send a crew out there to paint the curbs gray again. Taxpayer expense. Total bummer all the way around.
That's a bummer, too. All right, thanks, David.
Interstate 8, Sunrise Highway, 1985. A man walking his dog finds the body of 22-year-old Donna Gentili along a wide dirt turnout in the road.
She was nude. Her undergarments had been cut off, as well as her dress, and placed on top of her nude body.
Retired homicide detective Tom Streed was at the scene.
There was indication of what is known as a brush out. The perpetrator had used a brush from bushes to essentially obliterate any shoe impressions or tire impressions around the scene.
The killer had stuffed gravel down Gentili's throat.
The gravel wasn't just something that was basically forced into her mouth. It was literally tamped down her throat. The cause of death was asphyxia, even though her neck had been fractured at the second cervical vertebrae.
Gentili was a prostitute who worked El Cajon Boulevard. 5 weeks before her murder, she testified at a civil service hearing where she spoke openly about her relationship with a San Diego police officer named Larry Averick.
Well, he was over my apartment a few times. I had sexual contact with him.
Averick was fired in the wake of that prostitution scandal. Now, 34 years later, he's written a book, Who Killed Donna Gentili? the real story.
I don't care what Mr. Averick says.
Streed, the former homicide detective, still believes police officers could be involved.
She was on the payroll for the Internal Affairs Division of the San Diego Police Department, informing them of police officers. She was targeted. Is that the reason she was murdered? I don't know, but it certainly is a consideration.
Averick declined to be interviewed for this report. He denies having sex with Gentili and any involvement in her murder.
She had stated that she had turned in other officers because they had pissed her off.
Here he is in 1985, claiming then, as he does now, that the reason he was involved with Gentili was because he was conducting his own investigation of corruption in the San Diego Police Department.
I had information that I had received that a lieutenant had taken a known prostitute to the Colorado River and set that prostitute up with another sergeant from the police department.
In his book, Averick says the man who killed Gentili is Ronald Porter, a convicted murderer and serial rapist who remains in prison to this day. Porter would pick up female hitchhikers on Interstate 8, choke them, rape them, and then abandon them a few miles east of where Gentili's body was found.
I remember he was picking up hitchhikers, not prostitutes.
Retired Deputy District Attorney Jeff Dushek prosecuted Porter in 1991.
He'd work his way behind them and would choke them out with his arm. A sleeper hold is what I called it. They all woke up, survived the attack, and they all were walking for help, including the murder victim. Donna Gentili, from what has been reported, that didn't happen.
Gentili's autopsy remains sealed, but this search warrant reveals key evidence. Semen and saliva found on Gentili's body. Because she was a prostitute, however, that DNA may or may not have come from the killer.
I know we had Ronald Porter's DNA. We used it in the case that I prosecuted. I am confident that his DNA was checked with what was found on her to see if there was a match.
The former prosecutor refuses to speculate on who the killer may be, but he does have something to say about Larry Averick's book.
If anyone's ever charged with Donna's murder, the first thing the defense is going to do is go read Averick's book, try to find him, find the other police officers involved, and make it look like they're the guys that did the murder.
David Gotfredson, News 8.
I heard 2 gunshots. They were about 2 to 3 seconds apart. And then I heard a man scream, "No, no."
Did the Zodiac killer gun down a young couple in Ocean Beach in February 1964? Some Zodiac experts say yes.
Joyce and Johnny, in my opinion, are the perfect candidates to be early Zodiac victims.
Newlyweds Joyce and Johnny swindle, taking a walk along the beach. A sniper on the cliffs above fires 5 shots, hitting both of them. He then climbs down to finish them off, shooting them both one more time in the head.
These were probably the 2 final shots which were fired at close range.
That's what he said, that was the 2 last shots that killed him.
Tom Voigt runs the website ZodiacKiller.com. He says this double murder was no random attack.
Just the fact that somebody was in such an unusual spot, up on that bluff at night in February, he seemed to have known their routine and was expecting them.
19-year-old Joyce Ann Swindle is dead at the scene, at the foot of Narragansett Avenue. Her husband, Navy man Johnny Swindle, age 20, dies at the hospital.
You could see he was gurgling and gasping. You could see his throat, a lot of action there, and groaning with it. And of course then I ran back up because I knew we needed an ambulance.
When the murders happened in 1964 here in Ocean Beach, the Zodiac killings hadn't even started yet up in the Bay Area. But right away, detectives noticed similarities between the murder of this couple and the murder of another young couple 8 months earlier on a beach in Santa Barbara County. Teenage sweethearts Bobby Dominguez and Linda Edwards were shot to death on Gaviota Beach in 1963.
there's a lot of evidence pointing to the Zodiac.
Author Soren Korsgaard wrote a book on the psychology of the Zodiac killer. He believes there is a Zodiac connection to the murders in Ocean Beach and Santa Barbara County.
After shooting them, he approached them and shot them again. He did the same thing with Domingos and Edwards. He shot them, reloaded, approached them, and shot them again.
One common thread is .22 caliber long ammunition, used in several murders, including Domingos and Edwards, shot on the beach in Santa Barbara in 1963, the Swindle murders in Ocean Beach in '64, and the first confirmed Zodiac murders in the Bay Area, teenagers David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, shot in Solano County in 1968.
We have the distinct fingerprint of the Zodiac on these cases in Southern California.
In the Santa Barbara County murders, the killer also used rope to tie up his victims, just like the Zodiac did later in Napa County. And as News 8 reported earlier this year, the 1962 murder of cab driver Ray Davis in Oceanside could also be the work of the Zodiac because the killer once again used .22 caliber long ammo.
When they think of the Zodiac killer, they think the San Francisco area, but I really think that we need to focus on the San Diego area. I think the key to catching him might be in San Diego.
David Gotfredson, News 8. It's a short walk to Torrey Pines Beach from the parking lot, along the train tracks, under the bridge, to Lifeguard Tower 7. Jim Alt was 17, his girlfriend Barbara Nantes, age 15.
We stood there and looked at all the fires on the beach.
It was the summer of 1978.
And we thought, we're gonna have fun, man. This is cool. We're gonna camp out and until we have to leave.
The two teenagers zipped their sleeping bags together and fell asleep in each other's arms.
I was a surfer. She was a girl that worshiped the sun. This is where innocence plays. And innocence was not here that night.
Barbara's murder remains unsolved. She was beaten, sexually assaulted, and strangled to death on the beach. The killer or killers knocked Jim unconscious.
What they used to bash my head in was a rock and a log out of the fire pit.
Jim has no memory of the attack. He still has a metal plate in his head. Barbara, found naked, her nipple nearly sliced off with a knife, her mouth stuffed with sand. The killer dragged Barbara's body across the beach and positioned her spread eagle.
It hurts my soul, but I have to come here because no one else will. No one else will. I'm the only one swinging for Barbara.
Over the years, police did several rounds of DNA testing on evidence from the crime scene, according to reports obtained by News 8. They tested 3 sleeping bags, 3 rocks used in the attack, a cigarette butt found on the beach, a necklace around Barbara's neck, fingernail scrapings, and body swabs taken from the teenage victim. On the sleeping bags, police found Jim's DNA and the DNA from another couple who police believe had previously used the sleeping bag. That couple spent the night in the parking lot on the night of the murders. They also found mixtures of DNA at such low levels they were unidentifiable. On the rocks, they also found unidentified low levels of DNA. But on the cigarette butt, they found a full DNA profile from an unknown male. It's been entered into a national database. But despite all this testing, no suspects have been identified. In 2014, San Diego police turned to the FBI to try and find Barbara's killer. They wrote this report identifying other murders in Southern California with similar characteristics. The report shows 2 1985 cases where the victim had sand or gravel stuffed in their mouths. The murder of 22-year-old Donna Gentili and the murder of 25-year-old Marcia Funderburk. Both cases remain unsolved. In Long Beach, a Jane Doe found murdered in 1974 also had similar characteristics. Her body, like Barbara's, was dragged across the sand. San Diego police say they have looked at those other cases, but found no compelling evidence to make a connection. DNA experts Susanna Ryan in Carlsbad is familiar with the Nantes murder.
I do believe that there are still some open avenues in this case for additional testing.
A new computer program could hold the key. The software made by a company called Cybergenetics can reanalyze old DNA test results. Mixtures formerly unidentifiable can now be separated out.
If there were mixtures that perhaps the analyst at the crime lab was unable to interpret at the time, I would suggest that they go back and look at that data and see if it could be sent to Cybergenetics for reanalysis.
And numerous human hairs found at the Torrey Pines crime scene can now be analyzed. Jim Alt is still waiting for that break in the case, and he'll never forget his last memories of Barbara.
Just her laying in my arm, us talking, looking at the stars.
David Gotfredson, News 8. Meadview, Arizona, population 1,200, a retirement community near Lake Mead that lives in the shadow of the stunning 2,000-foot Grand Wash Cliffs. We are searching the cliffs for the remains of a missing woman, Dia Abrams, who was last seen by her boyfriend, Keith Harper, on her ranch near Idlewild. Our mode of transport, off-road motorcycles, we are acting on information that the 65-year-old's body may have been dumped in this area. The search area is roughly 20 square miles and the location extremely rugged BLM land. Our first destination takes us 8 miles into Joshua Tree Wilderness to the edge of the cliffs.
I got over there, stood out on the cliff, and there was some wind, but right now it's seeming like it died down.
Pilot Steve Jensen launches a drone to scour the face of the drop-off, looking for the remains of Abrams, who has been missing for 8 months. The drone shoots 4K video, and Jensen lets me watch using these virtual reality goggles.
I can see the point of view of what the drone is seeing.
As we scan the cliffs, we begin to realize just how difficult this massive search will be. We're trying to spot clothing that Abrams may have been wearing, or even more difficult, the decayed remains of her body.
It's looking pretty good. I'm just having a hard time finding any bones.
After hours of searching, we decide to move on to the numerous other locations where a body might be found. So why here? Why Grand Wash Cliffs, Arizona? Well, it turns out the last person to see Dia Abrams alive, Keith Harper, owns quite a bit of land out here. News 8 has learned Keith Harper traveled to the Grand Wash Cliffs area in May 2020, about a month before Abrams went missing. He owns 85 acres of land out here, and some of the parcels are right along the cliff's edge.
I have no reason to bring harm to her. I love that woman.
News 8 first interviewed Harper in August, 2 months after Abrams went missing from her ranch 11 miles east of Idlewild. Harper lived on the ranch with Abrams, and he said they were planning on getting married. But 2 days after she went missing, Harper drove this RV from the ranch in California through Arizona to Aztec, New Mexico, where sheriff's deputies armed with a search warrant finally impounded the vehicle and took a section of the front seat as evidence. And that's not all.
Have they served search warrants on your cell phone, on your house here?
Oh yeah, we've had our cell phones, our computers, they were all taken.
Court records show Harper has a criminal history out of Colorado. The year 2000, domestic violence assault. 2011, unlawful sexual contact for groping 2 women during a snowmobile tour. He was ordered to register as a sex offender. 2013, illegally operating all-terrain vehicle tours on U.S. forest land. Sentenced to 4 months in custody. All his convictions ended up being misdemeanors.
Was Dia aware of your criminal history?
Absolutely.
Harper has now taken over as trustee of Abrams Ranch near Idlewild, and he has power of attorney over her estate under the terms of a trust that Abrams transferred property into just 2 weeks before she went missing. Even so, the Riverside Sheriff's Department has not publicly named Harper or anyone else as a suspect in Abrams' disappearance. We spent 2 days searching the plateau above the cliffs, looking for loose dirt, clothing, or bones along miles of high desert roads and in dry creek beds. But we left Meadview, Arizona, still asking, where is Dia Abrams? David Gotfredson, News 8.
The defendant walked up to you and grabbed your arm?
Yes.
This 41-year-old man appeared in Chula Vista court this week on attempted kidnapping charges. The judge ordered us to blur his face. News 8 is following the case not because of his current charges, but because of what happened to him 24 years ago. In 1997, at the age of 17, he was the victim of a gang-related stabbing. And multiple sources tell News 8 the teenager who stabbed him was Larry Miliete, the husband of the now missing mother, Maya Miliete.
I have reason to believe that he was in a gang.
Attorney Billy Little is working with Maya's family to investigate the case.
It's my understanding this was a gang-related incident, that there were multiple other people around. He was taken into custody as a juvenile.
The stabbing happened on the evening of April 30th, 1997, near this McDonald's restaurant on Paradise Valley Road in the Bay Terraces neighborhood of San Diego. The teenage victim rushed to the hospital with multiple stab wounds, survived the attack. Larry Miliete, age 15 at the time of the stabbing, was arrested and booked into juvenile hall on a charge of assault with a deadly weapon.
It was a long time ago, and what you're looking for is, who is this person? Who has he grown to be? Has he learned from his past criminal conduct?
Juvenile court records in the case are sealed, but after his release from juvenile hall, family members say Larry Miliete ended up moving to Hawaii with his parents. That's where he met his future wife, Maya, in high school. They married as teenagers, and Larry Miliete joined the Navy. Aside from a couple traffic tickets in Riverside County, Larry Miliete apparently had no more run-ins with the law. His wife went missing this year on Thursday, January 7th. Loud bangs that sound like gunshots were recorded around 10 p.m. by a surveillance camera in the neighborhood on the night Maya went missing. The next day, Larry Miliete was nowhere to be found for 12 hours, telling family members he went to the beach with his 4-year-old son in the family's black Lexus SUV with a personalized plate, Melani.
He took off without a phone. In other words, no way to track him.
By Sunday, January 10th, Maya's family had shown up at the Chula Vista house. Brother-in-law Richard Droulet snapped this photo of Larry standing in the living room.
There was the strong smell of bleach in the garage. There were bath mats hanging over, the trash cans drying out. Larry, as you've seen the picture, seems to be leaning back, confident and calm in his navy sweatpants.
But it would be 2 weeks before Chula Vista police served a search warrant on the house. On January 23rd, they took evidence and impounded the Lexus SUV. Police now say they have served 16 search warrants in the case, including one on April 1st at the Encanto home of Larry's aunt and uncle. News 8 reached out repeatedly to Larry Miliete for comment, but he did not respond to our messages. He has denied any involvement in his wife's disappearance, and Chula Vista Police has not named him a suspect in the case. The Anza Borrego Desert can be a very unforgiving place, especially in the summer months when temperatures can rise above 115 degrees. Former Navy SEAL John Fitzpatrick and Chinese tourist Fang Jin mysteriously went missing in late July. Shortly thereafter, his four-wheel drive Toyota pickup was found abandoned in Anza Borrego, south of the Harper Flat area. Now CBS 8 has learned Jim's remains may have been found in the area. Fitzpatrick's remains were discovered in September in Harper Canyon.
All indications are that they found remains on Saturday.
Attorney David Schmidt got word of the discovery from a private investigator hired by Jin's family.
You have a 47-year-old woman with two beautiful daughters, one in college, the other a young girl, something like 7 years old, and all of a sudden they don't have a mother. And so it hits you that it's a tragedy.
Jin flew to California in July from her home in China to meet up with 52-year-old Fitzpatrick, who lived in Morongo Valley.
She came here for romantic purposes, had been texting him for something like 6 months prior to coming here, and they definitely had rapport. And her expectation was that he was going to show her around the area, Morongo Valley, Morongo Basin, Joshua Tree State Park, and see whether the relationship developed.
Schmidt has been involved in the case and says the San Diego Sheriff's Department notified Jin's family of the discovery, but not the public. San Bernardino County Sheriff emailed me a statement saying, quote, "Human remains were located over the weekend in the Anza Borrego area. However, no positive identity of the remains has been reported to us." I rode out to Fish Creek Wash in Anza Borrego over the weekend.
Did you see an abandoned blue pickup truck, Toyota?
A law enforcement source told me Fitzpatrick's pickup truck is still out there and it's going to take a helicopter to get it out. David Gotfredson, CBS8.
I'm standing in America right now. And now I'm standing in Mexico.
Kate Monroe started giving media tours of the border back in February when she was still running for Congress.
American Patriots, I'd like to call us the Border Vets.
She got a ton of publicity with a group she calls Border Vets. Monroe herself says she is a former U.S. Marine.
This is about protecting our nation. We've already let terrorists in, drugs, the drug cartels have control of the border, sex trafficking, drug trafficking.
News cameras follow Monroe to the Mexican border to videotape the border vets installing their own razor wire across holes in the border wall.
Our plan is to get 2 or 3 rows here so that there's actually some effective deterrent.
Monroe and another veteran named Brett Christensen took us to the border in Jacumba, an hour east of San Diego, where some of the razor wire installed earlier by border vets was still in place.
This is your razor wire right here.
Yep.
In other areas along the border, the razor wire had been pushed aside, and Christensen was able to easily cross into Mexico. That's where Christensen started picking up paperwork he says was left by migrants on the Mexican side of the wall.
Let me ask you something.
Yes, sir.
Your whole mission seems to be to keep people from illegally crossing the border. But you just illegally crossed the border into Mexico.
Right, but what's the difference now?
Well, I mean, isn't it ironic that you're doing the same thing you're trying to prevent?
No, I'm trying to right now collect some evidence of what's going on to see what the problems are.
About a mile away, we ran into a group of migrants who had just crossed the border on foot, some of them through the same hole that the border vets had tried to secure.
This is every single day.
They wait here by the side of the freeway for hours and sometimes days so they can surrender to Border Patrol agents. CBS8 photojournalist Jay Erdman was able to translate as we spoke to Jessica Salazar, a migrant from Colombia.
¿Qué vieron? They saw dead people through the Darien Gap.
Her journey started a month and a half ago, crossing the treacherous jungles of Central America.
No están aquí.
No, yo los dejé en Colombia, 4.
4 kids, I left them all in Colombia.
We also met a dentist from Turkey.
I hope for future treat people, that's my job. I'm a doctor, so I hope treat people, make people good.
And we spoke to families with young children waiting for a chance to claim asylum in the United States. Are these the type of people that you're trying to prevent from crossing the border?
So, the type of people that we're trying to prevent from crossing the border illegally is every type of person, because they're doing it illegally. The young woman that you interviewed earlier from Colombia, while her story is sad that she's here, the story that got her here is also sad. The way in which we force people to come because we are unwilling to reform immigration causes all of this.
Back at the border, the razor wire installed by the border vets begged one final question.
Aren't you in effect breaking the law when you put razor wire up on federal property and build your own wall? Isn't that against the law?
Well, the federal government's breaking the law by allowing the onslaught of migrants to come into our country from countries all around the world. We have people coming across that we have found that are on the terror watch list.
The truth be told, this razor wire isn't really going to stop many people from crossing into the United States. But the border vets say that doesn't matter to them. They're going to keep coming back, and they're going to keep installing these barriers because they believe in what they're doing. In Jacumba, David Gotfredson, CBS8. How did you end up meeting this teenager?
I was speaking with one of my teammates, and she kind of butted into our conversation and introduced herself.
What did she say?
She gave us her name. She started being very forward. It was very clear what she wanted. She was being very flirtatious.
Flirtatious and forward sexually?
Yes.
And at some point you ended up going on the side of the house with her, having sex with her. How did that come to be?
I went to the side of the house to urinate. Usually the bathrooms are full of a long line. So she follows me. We have a brief encounter. We go back to our friends, say bye. I'm there for maybe an hour more, and that was it.
How long was the time period between the time you met her and the time you ended up having sex with her on the side of the house?
15 minutes or so.
15 minutes, really?
Yeah, I believe so.
The sex on the side of the house was consensual, right?
Very much so. I mean, we were within an earshot of everyone else. If at any point she didn't want to be there, she could have walked back.
Did you ever ask how old she was?
I did. In what she was telling me, she made it clear that she was very experienced sexually, and that led me to ask the question of how old she was, and she told me she was 18, looked me in the eyes.
The lawsuit says you gave her a drink. Did you give her a drink?
Absolutely not.
Did you ever see her drinking?
No.
Did you think she appeared drunk?
No, she didn't. She didn't stumble. She didn't slur her words.
The fact that she was so overly flirtatious and talking about sex, that didn't indicate to you that she might be drunk? I mean, she was a teenager, and, you know, maybe even now looking back, do you think that she acts like that when she drinks?
That's a very common thing at San Diego State. If the average person could go to a party at San Diego State, this whole story would make a lot more sense. This is not uncommon at all.
It's common to have sex with a stranger 15 minutes after meeting them?
For women to act like that at parties, yes, it is common.
And you actually thought she was 18 and you had no inclination that she was drunk?
Of course. Not in a million years would I believe that a high schooler would sneak into a college party.
Do you have any regrets about that night?
Well, obviously, based on the consequences, yeah, I would have rather done anything else that night, for sure.
But you don't blame yourself for any of these consequences?
There's a very big difference between losing your job for something you did and losing your job for something you didn't do. My name was attached to gang rape by every media outlet in the country, even though there was never a gang rape, there was group sex. And secondly, I was never a part of that.
Have you had a conversation with your parents about, you know, what happened at the party that night and your judgment in participating in at least what you say is consensual sex with this complete stranger?
Yeah, of course I've spoken to them about it.
What did they tell you? I mean,
well, at first the focus was on life and what was going on and what was to come. You are right. It wasn't the best judgment, but if If having a hookup in college warranted you losing your job, losing your career, the unemployment rate would multiply by 10. Let's be very real. This happens. It happens at every college campus across the entire country every weekend.
How did Mary die?
Mary died of natural causes. She was 400 pounds.
Joe Beneventon says he knows exactly what happened to Mary Haxby Jones when she died at her home she shared with her husband Bob on Zion Avenue in Allied Gardens.
Bob told me that Mary passed away. I go in the room and she was inverted on a 180. Her pelvic was like in your face.
A newly released autopsy report says Mary's cause of death was undetermined. The report also says Mary's husband forced Joe to help him put the woman's body in a freezer in the backyard. Did you at any time help put Mary's body in the freezer?
No way. No way. I had nothing to do with that.
Joe claims he didn't discover Mary's body in the freezer until the next day.
I said, you can't do this. He said, why not? I said, this is against the law. You can't do this. You got to bury her in the ground. So he went in the room and got a shotgun and he loaded it. And he said, next time you talk about this, guess where you're going?
Joe says Mary died around 2013, and for the next decade, her body remained in the freezer. The motivation, Joe says, was so the husband could keep collecting Mary's retirement benefits.
They did it for financial gain because Mary took all the equity out of the house. The only way to pay the mortgage back was the 4 checks that Mary was getting.
I also found out today that Joe lives in a house in Claremont, also owned by Bob Haxby, the husband of Mary Haxby Jones.
These are Mary's parrots. Come back!
The 4 parrots, he says, belonged to Mary.
This is buried.
Joe said he paid $1,000 a month rent for decades until December of last year when Bob Haxby had a stroke. That's when his wife's body was discovered in the freezer. Bob then died in February. What about your wife? Does she live here?
Yeah, we've been here ever since '97.
And she's alive?
Oh, yes. Yes, very much so.
Both properties are now in probate court.
Mr. Haxby owned one house, and Miss Haxby Jones owned another house.
Attorney Nicole D'Ambrosi represents the children of Bob Haxby, and she questions Joe's story.
There was ample opportunities for Joe to go to the police and indicate that Miss Haxby Jones was located in the freezer in the backyard. Yet he didn't do that.
And she believes Bob Haxby was the one who was the real victim of financial fraud.
Mr. Haxby was unable to walk or care for himself. He had dementia. He was in a cognitive state of decline.
The probate cases against both properties continue in San Diego court. We'll let you know how it all turns out. In Claremont, David Gotfredson, CBS8.
I'm selling my Lamborghini 63 yacht. It's definitely a prized possession of mine that I love more than anything.
The $4.5 million Lamborghini yacht that AJ Thakor is selling is called Aspen and Delilah, named after his 3-legged dog and his daughter.
Good boy. Who's a good boy?
AJ told me he prefers to use his social media nickname Ace Rogers. I contacted him after reading a report on the San Diegoville website that his yacht was on the market. The entrepreneur agreed to an interview at his office above UTC Mall.
It's not for urgent sale. That's just something my broker put in there to get some eyes on it, but we'll take our time to sell it. I'm in no rush to sell it at all.
Lamborghini only made 63 of these yachts, this one in 2023.
You know, people like me, rich people, we always are looking for the next bigger and better thing. I don't move into smaller houses, I move into bigger mansions. So my next vessel will be the baddest thing this town's ever seen.
I will kill you. Last year, CBS8 aired this cell phone video of AJ, which went viral, showing him in an argument with a 21-year-old dock worker.
What happened with that, we were just going to pick up one of my sales guys from the convention center at the Marriott Marina. We were just going to back up, pick him up, and this guy's like, no, you can't do that.
The altercation escalated with AJ threatening to kill the worker. the young man flipping him off, and finally, AJ pulling down his pants and exposing himself.
For him to make a big deal of it and try to stop my salesperson from getting on the yacht, I took offense to that. I got pissed. I did a twister off my Lamborghini yacht, and nothing says you don't give an F like doing a twister off your Lamborghini yacht.
AJ ended up getting charged with misdemeanor indecent exposure. He has pleaded not guilty, and the case is still ongoing.
I don't really bother about that stuff because it's just 2 misdemeanors, and things like this happen to me every now and then. It's really no big deal.
AJ admits he's been involved in several lawsuits, including claims of harassment, which is why he seems to prefer spending time with Aspen.
Do you love your dog more than you love people in general?
Obviously. I hate people.
So if you're interested in buying that Lamborghini yacht, all you need is $4.5 million. On Shelter Island, David Gotfredson, CBS 8.
So having a missing child photo at a place like a rest stop is absolutely valuable.
It's been 9 months since CBS 8 aired an investigation into outdated missing children flyers posted at the Caltrans Buckman Springs rest stop in the East County. The posters included photos of 30 children dating back to 2017. Our investigation last year found only 5 of the 30 children were still missing. Well, I drove by the same rest stop over the weekend and discovered Caltrans has now removed all the missing children posters.
Certainly missing child posters, it's a great place to have them. A little disappointing to hear that they were taken down and they're no longer there.
John Bischoff is a vice president at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
We do understand that keeping missing child posters updated, especially the paper versions, can be difficult. It can take a little bit of time, and certainly rest stops all over the state and so on. That's a lot to update.
Under state law, missing children posters are updated every month by the California Department of Justice and then distributed to state agencies. Caltrans operates 88 rest stops in California, so I reached out asking whether the posters at Buckman Springs will be replaced with new ones. The agency responded saying, Caltrans provides space at its rest stops for information about missing children and human trafficking from appropriate state agencies and physically posts the content. But there may be a more modern solution to the problem. This new poster produced by the National Center with a QR code.
What that QR code does, if you scan it with your smartphone, it will use your current location and show you all missing children within 50 miles of where you're located.
And the best part is those QR code posters never have to be updated. That vice president at the National Center says he is perfectly willing to work with Caltrans to get these QR codes posted at rest stops all across the state. I passed along his contact information to Caltrans and we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, I'm just going to go ahead and post my own QR code here at this rest stop. I don't think Caltrans will mind very much. In Buckman Springs, David Gotfredson, CBS 8. You gotta admit, it's a good place for a murder, the Motor Transport Museum in Campo. The perfect location to film a horror flick, Slaughterhouse 2.
We have some squirting blood and those types of things. Probably not as much as the first one that we did, where we had a lot of hanging bodies.
Producer Jerry Enco and director Rick Rossler worked together on the original Slaughterhouse movie in 1987.
The first one was filmed in San Diego, down in San Ysidro, National City, Lakeside.
Actress Sherry Lee played the daughter of the sheriff in the first movie. Now she plays the sheriff of Campo in the sequel. This scene was shot in the town's VFW.
We've received nothing but great help from the people of Campo. We've shot probably in 10 or 12 different locations. Everybody's been really helpful to us. We've used a lot of the people in Campo as extras, and actually a couple have speaking roles.
The plot focuses on a father and son team who make beef jerky inside the Motor Transport Museum, an old felspar mill surrounded by a yard with hundreds of decaying trucks. This is where they add the secret ingredient to the jerky, human flesh.
We're just making jerky and killing people.
Remington Tully, a local high school senior, plays the son, Rem Dog.
So we have a flamethrower, and we just use the flamethrower to burn and I guess dry out the beef jerky. And yeah, so it's flame broiled beef jerky.
Museum director Brian Butler plays the father, Baker.
That's a whole bucket over here of nice juicy jerky makings.
Okay, so this is a horror flick and there are body parts all over the place, but it's all make-believe. Nothing real going on here in Campo. Hey! Don't worry, it's just a flesh wound.
It's feeding time for Elmo here. And Elmo is a prosthetic.
Slaughterhouse 2 is not all blood and guts, according to the director, who says it's more like a horror comedy.
Does it have a happy ending?
Does any horror picture have a happy ending?
In Campo, David Gotfredson, CBS8. The Motor Transport Museum in Campo was the perfect location to film Slaughterhouse 2, the sequel to the 1987 horror movie Slaughterhouse. But as it turns out, the old truck museum was also the perfect venue for the film's premiere. About 100 people showed up Monday night. Producer Jerry Enco and director Rick Rossler greeted the crowd, which included Campo residents who were recruited to appear in the movie, some of them with speaking roles. The slasher film sequel focuses on a murderous father and son duo who live at the Campo Museum. In an underground cellar, they produce homemade wonder jerky with a secret ingredient: the flesh of murder victims who get captured and killed while hiking on the nearby Pacific Crest Trail.
Wait, don't leave. Wait, it's okay. I'll be right back.
Brian Butler, who is the museum's director in real life, plays the psycho father, Cleavon.
The experience was incredible. It gave me a chance to die without dying, and that was wonderful.
A bigwig developer from Texas pays off the mayor of Campo, hoping to build a huge resort there.
Look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. That's up to you.
No amount of Texas bull is going to change my mind.
Action.
Local high school senior Remington Tully plays the mute son of the museum owner. He wields a flamethrower on the property to cook the beef jerky and his victims.
We got to film in LA, Boulevard, Ocotillo, even San Diego. I mean, St. Louis we even filmed too. It was a great experience.
But it's not all blood and guts. There's also some cult film humor.
The movie was done very well. The pictures are brilliant. I'm glad there's comedy in it, because if it was too serious, it would be a downtake and kind of scary.
The film is set for distribution worldwide, but here in the United States, it should be in theaters sometime next year. In Campo, David Gotfredson, CBS8.
This is a 1952 Studebaker pickup. In 1952, you thought this was the state of the art.
Brian Elmore is the president of the Motor Transport Museum in Campo.
The Truck Museum is all about us saving the history of transportation. And mostly we've kept all of the old trucks here. They're not all restored. A lot of them run, but we want to preserve that history.
Campo has a lot of history that will be on display this weekend for Campo Days. The Truck Museum is one of 4 museums in Campo opening their doors for free all day Saturday and Sunday.
We have the Motor Transport Museum, we have the Historical Society, which is the Stone Store, we have the Railroad Museum, and then we have CLEAF, which is a Camp Lockett event and equestrian facility.
The Gaskill Stone Store Museum was the site of a famous border battle in 1875 that left 8 people dead and 2 wounded. On the second floor is a museum explaining the history of Camp Lockett, where several cavalries were garrisoned in World War II.
It's a chance to keep history alive. It's a chance to see things that you just don't see anymore.
Rourke Stump is the station master at the Campo Railroad Museum.
My favorite part about the Railroad Museum is the train ride itself. It takes you through a really cool little canyon, and there's lots to see out there. The locomotives that we use to pull the train are from the late 1950s, and the cars themselves are from 1928, so it feels like going back in time.
The horses are the main attraction at the Camp Lockett Event and Equestrian Facility, where they'll be featuring mutton busting and barrel racing this coming weekend.
Barrel racing is basically a clover leaf pattern that the cowgirls race upon. They have to make 1 turn to the right and 2 turns to the left around the barrels, or vice versa.
Bands and dancing into the evening.
We're going to have food here. We'll have drinks here. Might be a little warm this weekend, but come on up. We'll have some shade.
It's only about a 45-minute drive out here to Campo, but yes, it will be hot out here this weekend for Campo Days. You might want to bring a hat and some sunscreen. In Campo, David Gotfredson, CBS 8. Your best bet to avoid these online scams is to go to a real store where you can actually try on the costumes yourself. If you have to shop online, we've posted a link to the Better Business Bureau Scam Tracker site at CBS8.com. Working for you in Claremont, David Gotfredson, CBS 8.
We will have over 100 antique cars. I think the oldest signed up right now is 1906.
The San Diego excursion begins in Balboa Park and goes all the way to Point Loma on Sunday, January 11th. And once in Point Loma, a parade of vintage vehicles will retrace a 6-mile road race held in 1915.
In 1915, they used a route that you can drive today. They went down Rosecrans, up Chatsworth, all the way to Catalina, along Catalina, short jaunt on Talbot, down Cannon Street, back to Rosecrans. That was 1 lap.
Dave Ness with the Horseless Carriage Club is organizing the event.
We'll drive 2 laps of the race route so people can see the cars twice as we go around. We're going to have a spread of cars. We've got Rolls Royces, Packards, Pierces, a lot of Model Ts and Model As.
The event is free for both drivers and spectators. Last year, the parade was such a success, they decided to add a car show this year.
We had people with horns and little kids doing the trucker horn thing and the cars honking back. It was just a fun day, and that's the only reason we do it, is for the public to be able to see these cars in motion. And then we end with a car show at Liberty Station. We'll be at Liberty Station from noon to 2 p.m. so people can come down and see the cars and talk to the drivers.
If you want to join the fun, we've posted route maps and information at CBS8.com.
Bring some friends, have some fun, ask us to honk our horns. It's all supposed to be a day to just have fun enjoying these old cars.
My brother and I restored this 1927 Gotfredson truck, and we'll be driving it in the San Diego excursion. And now that I'm officially retired, we plan on restoring a few more of these vehicles. All I can say is, I'll see you down the road. David Gotfredson, CBS 8.
And as you heard him say, David Gotfredson, our longtime investigative journalist, is retiring after 25 years with KFMB. Today is his last day. David says he'll spend his retirement traveling with his wife, restoring Gotfredson trucks and riding motorcycles, and producing music videos for his daughter. Aww. Everyone here at CBS 8 wishes David the best on his next chapter. He really is one of the greats.